Hey there everyone, today I'll be walking you through the entire process of establishing your Shopify store. We'll go step by step covering all the features and configurations, and by the end of this video you'll have a fully operational store ready for selling your products. And if you haven't signed up for Shopify yet, I've included the best current Shopify deal in the description that includes 3 days of free use with no credit card required, and then 3 months at $1 each, and then afterwards it's back to their original price. So feel free to use the link to create your account, and with all that being said, let's get started. So once you've signed up, you'll be greeted with this screen, and then all you have to do is click on Create Store right here. Afterwards, it's going to ask you how experienced you are with building websites. You can just skip this questionnaire altogether because all it really does is change the setup guide that is on the Shopify dashboard, and we won't be using that anyways since I'll be explaining everything, so you can go ahead and click Skip All. Once you skip it, you specify where your business is located and then click Next, and then you choose the account you're going to be using, and then you're going to be greeted by the Shopify dashboard. Now this is the setup guide that I was talking about. It suggests that we immediately add our first product, which I think is kind of putting the cart before the horse. What we should do right now is we should go to the left-hand side and click on Online Store, and then we should pick our theme. Now, with Shopify, you should keep in mind that there is a pre-installed Dawn theme applied from the get-go, but if you want to see the rest of the available themes, you just scroll down to the bottom here and click on the Visit Theme Store button. And once you land on the theme store, you're going to see a bunch of options on the left-hand side for you to perhaps specify what kind of theme you're looking for, but also you can browse through this page as well. So as you can see, there are some paid ones and free themes, and like I said, you can categorize them according to what you're looking for. So let's say you're looking for a free theme, and so you pick on whatever theme you want. So let's click on the right theme. And one cool thing about Shopify is you can view a demo store using that theme itself. So you can see what this looks like in a professional setting and if this lines up with the vision you have for your sites. For my site, I'm going to go and use the Dawn theme. And if you want to apply whatever theme you picked, all you got to do is click on Try Theme, and then it's going to generate this theme for you. And once Shopify has generated your theme, it's going to be located under your theme library, and you can publish it by clicking on Publish, and it's going to replace the theme that is here. But since we have the Dawn theme already installed, we don't need to go through that process. But for you, once you do get that finished, you're going to want to go to the Customize button and right-click it and open this in a new tab because we need easy access to the dashboard and to our website. So how about we check out our theme? And once you've opened up your new tab, you're going to be greeted by the theme editor. Now on the left-hand side, you're going to see a basic structure for your website containing the header, the footer, and then the content in between. Whatever changes we make on the left-hand side are going to be previewed on the right, and this bar is going to be present on whatever page we're on, so by the end of the video, you're going to be very familiar with it. And if you go to the right-hand side up here, you're going to see the mobile icon where you can customize your site for mobile devices. However, we're not going to be spending too much time here because whatever changes we make in the desktop editor are going to be adapted and accommodated for mobile devices, so you don't have to worry that it's going to be disrupted. On the left-hand side, you'll also notice that we have certain sections included with our Dawn theme, so you have the image banner and then the featured collection at the bottom here. When you want to add a new section, you just click or hover in between sections like this. You click on the Add Section button, and then you pick whatever option you want from this menu. You can also do this by going to the main sidebar menu by just going back. So if you find yourself in a particular section, you click on this arrow and then it will take you back to the main sidebar. So you click on the Add Section button and then the same prompt will pop up. So keep that in mind. Now, what I really like about Shopify is that we can move around these sections just by clicking on the 6 dots like this, and then you can drag them above or below another section. And you also might be aware that there are some blocks in between each section. So right now we have our text block and then our button block. And if you want to edit a block, you just click on it from the left-hand side, and then here you're going to get some options as to what you can change for that particular block. And you can also click on it from the right-hand side preview and similarly get the options for that block as well. So like I said, this is our left-hand menu. We're going to be spending a lot of time here, so you will familiarize yourself and then some. And the next thing that I want to talk to you about is how you can change your logo, your color scheme, and also your font for your website. So to do that, you go to the left-hand side, you click on Theme Settings, and the first option is the logo. In the subsection, you click on select image right here, and you go to the image or folder that you have all of your products in. Now, I would recommend organizing everything because when we're categorizing our products, we're going to need to make sure we know where they are. Now, all of these images of jerseys you see here are just pictures I've taken from the internet, and I've named them according to the team and the era they're from. If you don't have a logo though, as I do here, what I recommend is using a website called Canva, which allows you to customize images and, most importantly, make logos for yourself. However, if you're not artistically inclined, you might want to use a website called Photoleap, which uses an AI tool that allows you to describe your image, and then the AI will make an image based on the description you gave it. So you can try both. I will leave the link to both of those websites in the description below so you can try them out. Now, once you do have your logo ready, you're just going to grab it from wherever it is, put it into your library, allow it to process, and then when it is done processing, you just want to wait, and then you're going to click on done right here. So once it's done that process, it should be in the top left, and there it is. And if you go to the left-hand side, you'll see certain things that you can change about your logo. Now, this isn't the only category that you can change. You can go to the header by clicking on it right here. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see some options at the bottom of your menu that can change the distance between the header and the rest of the website. And the space, the section padding changes how much space, how much room is in your header in the first place. So you can mess around with that and see what suits your style. And also, folks, make sure you're saving your progress as you go along in case something happens to your internet or your power, for example. So you just go to the top right and save your progress because you never know what could happen. You don't want to have to redo everything you just did. And now let's take a look at some of those color schemes. So to find them, we go to the left-hand side, we click on colors, and these are the schemes available to you. You can change their composition by clicking on them and then change the colors of each scheme just by clicking on the circle here. And to apply any of the schemes, you just click on whatever section you want to change the color of, like the header, for example. We go down to color, and right under color schemes, we click on change. And then we choose the scheme that we want. So as you can see here, the header has turned blue and white now, and that's the long and short of it. Now, let's go take a look at some of those typographies, or the typography. So we're going to go back to the theme settings, and then right under the colors is the typography. And in this section, you can change the font for the heading text and also the body text, as well as the size of the text. Now, to change the font, you go to the change button, you click on whichever selection you want, you go down here to select to make sure that it saves your choice, otherwise it will just revert to what it was previously. And then we're going to do the same for the body font. So we're going to go with our keyboard, select, and you can see how the font has changed across the whole website. It's a little more emphasized here, a little sharper, let's say, and the prices are different as well. So that's how that works. And you can change the font size just by adjusting it on this scale right here. Now that we've customized our font, let's change this image banner so it looks a little more professional. As always, make sure you save your progress. And to access our banner, we can either click on the preview right here, or we can go to the left-hand side where it says sections and then go to our image banner where it's located on the left-hand sidebar. So we click on this one, and the same way we customized our logo, we can customize our banner. So we click on select image, we go to wherever our pictures are located, and we just transferred it over into our library. And then once it's processed, we click on that, and then we can go on done. And then you'll see in a second, it's going to pop up with our new banner. And keep in mind, guys, that the image banner is the first impression you're making on your customer. So you want to grab the highest quality photos so that you don't come off as amateurish and kind of give that level of credibility to yourself. You can also change the banner height by going to the left-hand side and picking any of these sizes anywhere between small, medium, and large. And with that being said, we're going to change this default text to match our brand name, which is Vintage Footy. So we just type into our text box right here, and then we're going to go to our button and change the text there as well. So we're going to go to this top text box, and we're going to write shop. And if you want to change the link for this particular button, we can go here where it says first button link and then change where that link takes the customer. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go back to our main sidebar menu and head down to our featured collection. And here's where we're going to add our products. So naturally, we need to do that. However, what I want you to do is go to the left-hand side or hover in between, but let's go to the left-hand side and add a section. And that section is going to be our collection list. Reason being because when we're adding our products, we're also, I don't actually like that being there, so let's use our knowledge and put it above our featured product section. Reason being for adding the collection is because I'm going to categorize our teams according to what jerseys I have. So I'm going to do a 2-for-1. I'm going to make the products, or add the products rather, and then make the collections list for each team. So let's go ahead and do that. So we need to head back to our dashboard. And on your dashboard, you're going to want to go to the third option on the left-hand side, titled products, go down to this button that says add product, and then we can finally start adding some content. So our first thing is the title, which I'm just going to grab from the titles that I have already made, which is why it's good to organize. So we're going to go down to rename, Control-C, which is how you copy things, and then we can paste it with Control-V. And then in the description, we can add our own description manually, or we can use this text generator that allows us to input some keywords and the AI will make a description for us. And we can also change the tone of this voice just down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this title and hit generate and then see what the AI comes up with. And once it generates some text, it's going to come up on the right-hand side, and you're going to see if you like this, if it's relevant to your products. You can also go down to generate again to generate another description and see if it's a little more accurate the second time. Nevertheless, we're going to go with this description. It's accurate to me. And then down below is the media, where you add some pictures. Now, on the right-hand side, you might notice that it says vehicle parts and accessories. That is far from what I'm selling here. So I'm going to show you something really cool. So once I drag this into the media, this is going to change and it's going to identify that, hey, this isn't a car part, this is a jersey, and it changes it accordingly. So I find that really, really cool. Moving below, we find our pricing. So this works two ways. Up top is the listed price on your website, then down here is for you to keep track of your finances. However, on the listed price, you have your current and then compare a price. This is mainly changed if you have a discount on something. And on your site, you'll have a strike through, which you'll see later on. I'll list this item for $150 and then the compare at price for $300. Now for your inventory, you put how much stock you have. Let's say 100. And then below is the continue selling when out of stock option, which is something to keep in mind because if you know you can restock an item to meet demand, you check this box. Otherwise, you leave it blank. Furthermore, there's the shipping information that applies to physical products. So jerseys on average weigh 8 to 10 ounces, so I will change the unit of measurement to that by clicking on this drop-down menu and then putting 8. For digital products, you don't need to do this, but I will have a video about how to set up digital products in the future, so subscribe to get notified for that. And right below the shipping section is your variants. So you open it up by clicking on this, and then you're going to get 4 variants, such as your color, size, material, and style. Now, to select something, you just click on the option, you input your value here, which is large. I can also put another value just below, which would be medium in this case, but I'll just leave it at large. Add another option. We're going to have it be red and white because the jersey is red and white. And then we're going to click done. Make sure you click done, otherwise it's not going to save things. And then add another option. We're going to have a polyester jersey because I remember that this jersey is made of polyester, just soccer nerd things. So hit done again. Now you'll notice that I don't have another option to add another variant, and that is because you're only able to add 3 variants in Shopify. Otherwise, you need to download a third-party app from their Shopify App Store, and I will make a video about that. So keep your eye out for that. I'm going to make a video about how you can input that extension into your store so that you can add more variants if you want that. And then down here, you'll see a little icon where you can add yet another image. So we have that picture that we added in our library. We're going to click done. And then now this is the icon that people are going to see when they're visiting our website or on our website. And lastly is the search engine listing. So you can open it up by hitting edit. This is where you can customize how your site appears in the search engine. So you can customize the title and the description. Now, my recommendation is to use key phrases, but not overcomplicate. So if someone is looking for this 87-88 Liverpool kit, then I'm going to type in Liverpool FC 87-88 season kit. I shorten the dates because it's a lot less wordy, and that is sweet and simple. As for the description, I'll just leave it as it is because we don't need to customize it right now. And from there, you go over here and hit save. The page will then refresh, and then all the content you've put onto your product will be saved. Now, you might have also noticed on the right-hand side that these blocks were gradually appearing. This is just the result of me constantly saving, so I don't want to have to remind you that you need to save. By now, you want to look out for yourself. And you'll notice that right here, this has changed from just clothing to shirts and tops. So that is a lot more accurate. So the more information you provide, the more accurate this product category will be. Now, what I want you to do is, we've added this product, you know how to do it for one product, so I'm gonna go ahead and add all the rest of my products, and then I'll get to my collection. So to go back to your products, you just click on this backwards arrow, and then you click on add another product. And from here, it's just rinse and repeat, folks, so you just do the same thing I did for my first product, and then add everything you need. Okay, so here's what it looks like once you've added a lot more products. I have 20 altogether, so it's nice and even. Now we're ready to categorize them, so we're going to go one tab below and click on Collections. Then click on Create Collection right here, then we're taken to our next screen. Again, our title is First Up. This time I'm going to put the name of a team, so we'll use Liverpool only. Now, I won't add a description because we don't need it, but for the collection type down here, you can set it to manual, so you place every item into a collection yourself, or automatic, so Shopify can automatically place items of a similar tag into their respective collections based on their values. We're not going to do that though because I want to show you how to do it myself. Then in the image section on the right hand side, we're going to add another picture of ours to identify which team this collection is for. So let's open this up and grab Liverpool. Then you're going to want to save this. And afterwards, you'll have the opportunity to add your products into this collection by clicking on Browse. I'll just search up for my Liverpool kits, mark them all off on the left here, then add them. And there you go, it's all saved. Now go back using this backwards arrow and then go to the top right to create another collection and repeat this process. So here are my collections, 4 teams, 5 jerseys, it's wonderful. Side note though, I changed the icon for Liverpool because the other one was a little too small, but we're still in business. Now, we've done all the behind the scenes work, so it's about time we went back to our theme editor and saw how all of it looks. So we're going to switch tabs. We'll then scroll down to our featured products list and see all of the products we just put together. As mentioned, the compare at price will have a strike through and all of these items are for sale. If you don't want it to be listed like this, you simply don't include a strike through price. But while we're still in this section, let's clean this up a bit. It's a little too cluttered for my liking, so we're gonna click on our featured products, change the header first, and if you want to make it smaller or larger, then you can choose it accordingly from here. I'll stick with medium. Then if we scroll down a little bit, we can adjust how many products and columns are listed here. My sweet spot is 10 products and 4 columns, but not for the reason you might think. It's because further down, we're gonna check this box off that says Enable Carousel on desktop to turn this list into a gallery that customers can swipe through. And make sure to enable the View All button because then they can view the rest of your catalog in another tab. If you do choose to go with the carousel option, then check this Make Products Full Width box so that it doesn't leave any empty space on the left, because if you don't, it can look a little bit awkward. I'll show you the difference. So let's go to the top of the page and click on these 3 dots. Go to the drop-down menu and click on View, and then we can see what the customer sees once they access our site. So we're going to scroll all the way down to our kits, and we can see that everything fits. That's because we checked that box off. But when it's not checked, this is what it looks like. So as I mentioned, it's very awkward, so make sure that you don't forget to check it off. And now let's return to the collections that we set up. So we have this section here, and just like with our featured products, we're gonna change the header text. Then we need to solve a problem because we have 4 teams but only 3 columns here. So what we need to do is head over to our main sidebar menu, go to our collection list, add a collection, and then it's gonna pop up. Now at the moment, this is a little uneven, so let's fix this by going back to the collections list and accessing our settings, and change the number of columns on the desktop. We can do max 5, which solves our problem, but I prefer the bigger icons, so I'll decrease the number of columns to 2. I'll also change the image ratio to portrait by going to the option right above the columns. Now, we can also include a View All button if you have more collections than the maximum number permitted. So we can enable the View All button right here, and I'll delete this collection to show you what it looks like. You can also just add another collection list if you'd like, but I just wanted you to know that you have a couple of options available to you. Now let's actually add the collections we've made. So to do that, we click on an icon, and then from the left side, you select Collection, and then pick the collection you want. And just make sure to click on select down here so it saves your choice. Now I'm going to do that for the rest of the teams, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now that I've added all of my collections, let me just show you how this works. So we're going to view this from the perspective of the customer, go to these 3 dots, hit view, and we're just going to click on one of these teams, and then yes, so this is how it works. So it takes you to the collection of those jerseys. If I had more, obviously they'd all go here, but I've added 5, so that is all that we need to see. And then for the bottom, for the kits, they can just scroll through these, And then if they want to see more, they can just click on view all. And then these are all the jerseys that I added in my products list, and then there's multiple pages. So now we know everything works. We can hit the home button here, and then it takes us to the home page. So everything is working smoothly. Now what I want to do is add another section. I want to touch base with the customer. So I'm going to add a section from here, and I'm going to add a multi-column. So I'm going to tell them, the customer that is, what we're all about, why we made this website, and a little bit about ourselves generally. So I'm going to put this right above our featured collection, and let's get to filling this out. Here you want to communicate the benefits of your brand and product. So include a title that resonates with the people you're trying to attract. Knowing your niche is very important since it can help you understand what interests the customer base. Alright, football heritage, since football fans have a great pride in the history of the game and they're the nostalgic type. So showing that you know why this product matters grabs their attention. Then when you click on one of these boxes, you can also add pictures at the top, but I don't personally think it's necessary. You might, but for me, I'm going to go without. Then below you can change the header for this column, and under that you can edit the description. Right now I'm going to fill out these columns and then explain what I wrote. So here I really got down to brass tacks. I didn't over-explain things and pick the qualities that I would value as a fan myself. In this By Fans column, I mentioned a bit about myself and what the sport means to me. Then, in For Fans, I leveled with the customers, showing that I value my own product first and foremost and what it means to me to be able to sell it. Then Prices for Fans only goes a step further to convey that I understand the average price for the jerseys are expensive, so I wanted to make a platform where they're more approachable. So I made myself personable and got the trust of the customer, not to mention the prices being pretty good, even though they're kind of unrealistic. Now, that's not the end of my introduction though, because this is only a preview for the About Us page, which I'm going to show you how to make. However, we need to edit the text for this button to say About Us, and then we can start making the actual page. But before we do that, let's take a look at the footer because we're going to add our About Us page there, as I'm going to show you how to edit your menu, aka the header and footer. So what I'm going to do is go down to the bottom of the sidebar where our footer is located, click on the add block, and from these options, I'll grab the menu. Now, as it pops up here, you can see that the title is quick links. You can always change that by clicking on it and then editing the text from the left-hand side, but in this case, I will leave that as is. Now let's go back to the top of the page right here and go down to where it says Pages. What I want you to do is click on it, and then you'll get this prompt showing you the default page and contact page, and then to create a new template. That is the one we want because we want to be able to identify the name of the template when we make this page. So we're going to name this About Us, base it on the default page, which it's just going to copy for our new page, but we can also edit this once we've set it up. Then just go ahead and click on Create Template. It'll refresh the page and it'll show the name as Contact because we based it on the default page. But no worries, this will change in a moment. So let's head back to our dashboard, go down to the online store, click it, and then you'll see a tab called Pages. You go there and you'll see the contact page that is already a part of the Dawn template. So what we need to do is create a new one. So go to the top right where it says Add Page, and the crucial thing here is to go to the title and change it. For this one, we'll call it About Us. Then go to the right side where it says Theme Template and select the theme we also named About Us. Now, make sure to quickly save it. Afterwards, it'll refresh, and now we'll go down to the Customize Template link right here and click on it. And then you'll see how the title went from Contact to About Us. So, anytime you want to change the title, you can do it from the Pages tab in your dashboard. Now, let's edit our About Us page to include some actual information, well, about us. To do that, we just do what we did on our homepage. Go to the sidebar or hover in between sections to add one, and this time, what I'll do is include an image with text, so I can add a photo and give a brief description about this fake life that I live. To make this look better, I'll duplicate it by going to these three dots up here and picking Duplicate. I'll also add some variety to the layout by going to Desktop Image Placement and putting Image second, rearranging the whole thing. As far as editing this section goes, you can either add an image from your library by going to the images here, and to edit the header and body text, you click on that part and then add your text on the left-hand side. In the case that you want to delete this button, which I do, you can click on it, go back to those three dots up here, and click on remove and it's gone. So now I'll customize this myself and then we can move on to the next part of the video. Alright, so I've customized the About Us page, I added a third section, and now we've got some details. What we'll do from here is just head back to our home page and link this to the About Us button. So back to the top again, click on this, choose the homepage tab, scroll down to About Us, click on the button, find the button link from the side menu, and now we can link it. So we click on the search bar, click on Pages, find the About Us section, and now the button has come to life. So when we click on it, it takes us to where we want it to go, and we know now that we've done everything right. The next thing that is on the list is customizing the menus. So let's head over to the Dashboard tab. Now, the last time we were here, we were in the About Us page, so let's now click on the Navigation tab just below the Pages tab. So this is where we can add or remove things from our menu, whether it's in the header or footer. When we click on our main menu here, for example, we find the three tabs that already came with the Dawn template, and you can delete it if you'd like just by clicking on Delete here. Or you can add something where it says Add Menu Item. When you click on that, you'll have this right-hand sidebar pop up where you can name your menu item and then choose where you want that icon to take the customer. Preferably name it based on a page that shares the same name. In the main menu, I'll include the About Us page, so I'm going to name it that. Then I'll click on the search bar, go down to Pages, and find About Us. Click on Add in the bottom right, save it, and it's really as easy as that. The next thing I want to add is a link to all the teams, so we'll add another thing. Name is Teams, click on the search bar, find Collections, click on All Collections, Add, and then Save. However, before we get to that, you should also know that you can move the menu items around similarly to the way it works in the theme editor just by dragging them around via these 6 dots on the left. Now, the Dawn theme already has all the content I want in my header menu, so I don't feel the need to customize that any further, but the footer menu could use some work. So we'll go back using the backwards arrow, we'll select the footer menu, and the process is the same, but we need to add the About Us section, the contact page, and a policy page. But we'll touch upon the policy page and other pages of the sort near the end of the video because you need to know some other details before we include those. So just follow the steps that I showed you already, and I'll add those other items to our footer. Alright, so there we go. Apart from the policy section, everything is added. Now, let's go back to our theme editor and see what the menu looks like right now for both the header and footer. So we'll go back to the tab with our theme editor, and you'll see that our header now includes the items we entered from the navigation section, and then if we scroll down to the bottom, our footer has the other items we included. Now, we're in the home stretch, but now we've got to tinker with the management settings such as payments, shipping, markets, and etc. So we're going to go back to our dashboard, and assuming you're still in navigation, just go down to the bottom of the page and click on settings. Alright, so let's talk about our store details, which is the first tab. Make sure to check this information so that it's correct, and if you want to edit it, just click on this pen icon right here and input your info. And right below is your billing information, which you can also edit the same way by clicking on the pen. And beneath that is the store currency, which should already be adjusted to your location, and if it's not, then you can click on the bar and choose the correct one. Now, let's head to our Payments tab all the way up here. Right off the bat, you're going to see Shopify Payments, which makes the payment process a lot more convenient as Shopify has optimized it for use, and it allows customers to save their info for a quicker checkout experience. But the catch here is that your business needs to have a registration number and that you're in one of the supported countries from this list right here. So, if you do meet both criteria, then you can click on Activate Shopify Payments. However, for everyone else, there is an alternative option. When you go down to the supported payment options right here, you'll see a default option, which for me is PayPal, but for you it might be something else like PayPal and Amazon Pay or either or. But you can always add more by clicking Add Another Payment Method, search by provider, clicking on the bar, and choosing a provider that ideally supports Visa and MasterCard. So once you've made your decision, you'll want to head over to Checkouts. Here's where you're going to choose what info your customers need to input when they're at the checkout. First thing is the contact method, whether that's phone or email or just email. I personally prefer the email, so we'll go with that. Below that is the option to require the customer to log into their account before checkout. We're going to leave that box as unchecked because I personally find that annoying and customers could too. So we want to make the checkout process as hassle-free as possible. Next is the customer information, which asks whether to include the first or last name. I prefer both because then you can personalize the marketing to the customer through their emails, for example, on a first name basis, such as, "Hey Mark, we have this deal," instead of "Mr. Miller, we have this deal." Something like that. The next option really depends on who you're selling to. So if you're selling to companies, then you want to include this so you know which ones are buying for you, so I'd put this as optional in any case. I recommend doing the same for address line 2. It's not necessary, but we're going to leave it as optional anyways. However, the shipping and phone number is required. Then, below the customer details is the order processing, which we can leave as is because the default settings work fine. And then the marketing options should just include the email, but double check that. So, now we're done with checkout, so we can go ahead and save. Next, we'll go to the Market tab. There's two things to know here. So if you're planning on only selling domestically, then just make sure the primary country is the country you're in, and then you're done. But if you're selling internationally, then we'll have to touch on these other markets. Shopify has made this itself, including 27 countries. So let's click on this section. Now, if we go to this edit button right here, we can see all the countries that have already been added. To change it, you can click on edit again from the box here, and you'll be shown this list from where you can exclude or add countries that you sell in. When you're done that, you can save your selection and then go to where it says inactive and then activate these markets. And then make sure to save things again, that is very crucial. From here, let's go to the shipping and delivery tab. Now, all items are going to have a different weight, but the smart thing to do is to create profiles for items that are at a similar weight. I only have jerseys at the moment, but if I expanded my store to include scarves and toques, then I'd put those together and then the actual jerseys separately. If you want to do that, you can just create a new profile. However, for right now, I'll show you guys how to set up your general profile, but you can still follow the same steps if you're creating a new one. So let's hit the general section, and here you'll find the products linked to this profile. Right below that, you'll spot the shipping zones and their corresponding rates for both your main markets and any international ones. To edit any of these prices, click on these three dots, edit rates, and customize said rates. For international rates, you just go down to this add rate button and then you can set that up. And now we can finally get around to that policy that I talked about a little earlier. So let's exit out of this, head back up the page, and then select policies. The first thing you can do here is edit the terms of the returns policy by clicking on Manage right here. You can pick the time window customers have to return something, the return rate down below, and then down here you can set which products or collections cannot be returned when you have a final sale. And then at the bottom is the summary of your return policy. Now just go back to the previous page by clicking on this backwards arrow and hit Turn On, and your return policy will be applied. As for everything else, it's super easy. Just click on Create from Template, and Shopify will make a template according to the policy in question. You can do this for all of the policies except for shipping and returns, which I have made a sample version of. I made this using ChatGPT, but I highly recommend you make your own so you can set your criteria. So, once you finish creating templates and filling each section out, go ahead and save this. What makes this process really convenient is beyond just having to make the policies yourself, but it also saves time on creating the pages for them as well. And let me show you what I mean. So when we go back to our navigation tab, head to our footer, we can just find those policies and the terms of service set up on our sidebar. And at that point, we just give it a name and add it to our footer. Granted, you do need to do that for each individual one, but it beats the regular process. So in this case, I'm just going to make the terms of service, add that title. I'm going to pick the link from the bar here, add it, save it, and now let's go back to our theme editor to see what it looks like. Going all the way down to our footer, we will find the terms of service and we'll click on it. And now you see that the template has been applied to this. Work is done. So scrolling through all of this, the customer will find it when clicking on the terms of service, so you've covered your behind on that front. Now, that is just an example of how it works, and you should fill out the other sections of your policy. But as far as making this site goes, we're done, guys. Now, the only thing left to do is to make sure that our checkout works. So to do that, we're going to go to the top left on these three dots, hit view, and now we just need to find an item to buy. So we're going to scroll all the way down to our collections. We'll grab this one, we'll add it to our carts, and then we'll go to the checkout. And now, yeah, so everything is where it should be. All the information we requested is popping up. So everything is cool. Now let's make our site live. So head back to the dashboard, click on the online store, and right here where it says your store is protected by a password, you just remove that on the right side, and now it's live for the world to see. You'll also want to edit the way your site appears on Google while you're at it by heading down to Preferences and changing the title and description. And there you go, guys. That is all I have for this tutorial. I covered everything you need to know to get your site going in just over half an hour. I'm quite impressed. But if you have any other questions for me, then please don't hesitate to ask down below. If you want to try out Shopify, then don't forget that link in the description so you can try it out for a couple days. Even after watching my tutorial, you still might find other things that you like. If the video was helpful, then consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel to help keep the lights on over here. At any rate, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care, and I will catch you then.